Ciao ragazzi, è stata una serata impegnativa ieri, è uscito l'annuncio, c'era un botto di roba, sono uscite le patch notes. Wow. 3.24 sembra davvero una figata. Io ho controllato, il Sion non è stato né buffato né nerfato, non l'hanno proprio considerato. La skill che volevo fare come next starter è stata leggermente nerfata, la versione Trasmo, ma sono felicissimo perché è fortissima lo stesso, anzi gli hanno anche alzato il danno, quindi vi lascio con la mia reazione alla reveal della 3.24. Ricordatevi di mettere mi piace al video e se volete vedere altri video del genere seguite il canale. Allora, visto che faccio la reaction e visto che non è live, lo fermo quando ho qualcosa da dire, magari così non mi perdo, oppure non lo so, vedrò un po', dipende un po' se ho roba da dire importante o se devo solo fare che figata. Vediamo, io sono gasatissimo, Madonna.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson.
Oh, c'è Chris Wilson! Ci speravo che non ci fosse altro.
Busy lineup today with announcements for pathofexile 2, as well as the exclusive reveal of pathofexile Necropolis, which launches on March 29th. For the first time ever, we'll be releasing this expansion simultaneously on all platforms: PC, Mac, and console. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so make sure you follow the instructions below in order to claim
Twitch drop qua fa schifo, io l'ho beccato in un loot box.
Today's stream will start with pathofexile 2, where Jonathan will show you our latest announcements. Mark will then take you on a deep dive into the new pathofexile Necropolis.
Madonna, in-game changes, campaign improvement.
He'll cover the league mechanics, its deep crafting system, large in-game changes, some
Madonna,
improvements to the core pathofexile campaign, and finally some quality features. We'll then show you our new supporter packs and we'll head into a live.
Sono gasato anche per pathofexile 2. Dopo che ho giocato la Steep-Off mi è venuta voglia di giocare a pathofexile 2. E le patch notes, sì certo, le patch notes voglio vederle.
It's time to chat about PoE 2 again. It's
Ciao
only been
Jonathan.
a few months since we talked about the Mercenary, and yet even since then a huge amount has changed. When we announced the Mercenary, we also showed off a lot of the new capabilities that our engine has around animation and character control. Moving while shooting was a huge deal in that class, but there were a lot of other more subtle things going on to make.
Non mi piace la grafica, se devo dire la verità, la UI. Sembra troppo vecchiotta.
But one thing I've been really excited about is to go back and apply all the new ideas and capabilities that we have to our old classes too. Today I'd like to show off the Ranger, and I hope that you guys like what you see.
Il peggiore hanno scelto, il peggiore, il Ranger, madonna, perché il Ranger? Tra tutte le classi che c'erano, il Ranger, già mi togli il Sion, in più mi fai vedere il Ranger, madonna.
I've lived in this forest all my life, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a Ranger must never miss.
È la madonna.
Beast will hunt you, but it is the cruelty of man I fear. There is no truly escaping the Count's justice.
Your sentence is to be hanged from the neck until dead. Let your souls feed the first ones.
Figata l'intro così, Ah, quindi userà sia l'arco sia il melee contemporaneamente. Potrebbe essere un game style. Figa sta cosa. Questo rende più interessante l'arco. Ah, così. Executioner. Questo qua sarà tipo Hillock di PoE 2. No, non Hillock, scusa. Sì, o Hillock o Brutus. Brutus, credo. Ci sono le mount. Madonna, non so se essere contento o no di avere le mount, perché la mount è una figata pazzesca, ma ti obbliga ad usarla dopo. E sono indeciso, però figo. Anche il playstyle mezzo arco, mezzo melee è figo. Nonostante l'arco, sì, così potrebbe piacermi, O bossing in melee e clear con l'arco. No, non sto dicendo niente.
When we started to work on the Ranger, we knew we had to make a class with high agility. The dream of fast bow gameplay is Legolas, so that's what we wanted to deliver. The starting point is moving while shooting a bow. Any kind of basic arrow skill can be fired while moving with a movement.
Questo è figo, lo sapevo, ma è una figata.
This immediately gives you a lot more freedom on the battlefield. Here I'm starting each battle with a poison burst.
Rallenta comunque quando spara, non so se avete notato, anche quando va avanti.
Arc lightning around larger packs. For even more mobility, we also have a variety of skills that involve vaulting around the battlefield too. This is Frost Escape. Using it jumps backwards and shoots a freezing arrow at the ground. Really useful if monsters close on you and you need to get away.
Sì, ma nessun giocatore di più salterà mai indietro. Saltiamo tutti avanti.
You just have some way to take advantage of that extra time. This is where Snipe comes in. Snipe is a skill shot that you need to charge up and release at exactly the right time. If you land the right timing, Snipe is guaranteed to produce a critical strike, and does a small AoE as well, so it's a great finisher.
Figo, questo sarà usato un sacco per Ignite.
You can also move while shooting arrow rain skills too. This skill is Lightning Rod. It shoots an arrow into the air that sticks into the ground, and does a small AoE. Once the rods are in the ground though, they attract any arcs of lightning that are nearby, causing them to explode again.
Bella sta cosa delle combo.
Lightning rods on the ground and bounce lightning between them, doing way more damage.
Cioè, le skill sono stra interessanti. Non mi piacciono queste qua con l'arco, partendo da quel presupposto.
Bigger enemies, I'd like to have something that's going to enhance my damage output too.
Ma sono stra interessanti. Il gol si picca in automatico, non so se avete notato.
After a short period of
Come in
time,
Lusty
a
Poke, mi
lightning bolt
sembra.
comes from the sky and
No,
strikes
in
them.
Lusty Poke cliccagli.
This has a high chance to shock them, and shocked enemies take 30% more damage from all sources. If something big walks along, it's a good idea to throw one of these at them.
Shock è 30% di danno in più. Base.
Now, if I really want to enhance this combo, there are a couple of things I could do using our support gem system. Skills in Path of Exile are granted by items called skill gems. Each skill gem has colored sockets in it.
E qua
These
spiega
sockets
le
are
basi,
for other
ok.
items called support gems. Support gems modify your skills, and it's where a huge amount of the customization of your character comes
Quante
from.
cavolo ne ha che la barra qui a metà? Cioè può avere tipo 10 skill diverse se hai Link. Allucinante sta cosa.
But that isn't the effect that I'm after. If I add it to my lightning rod skill instead, then when I fire it, I get a nice group of rods. This means that I don't have to spend as much time setting up before I can use it with my lightning arrow combo. I might also add faster projectiles to make the lightning rods land faster too.
Attaccato chain, non ha attaccato fast il
Now next up
projector.
I'm going to grab this chain support gem.
Ok.
Chaining causes many effects to repeat on new targets when you hit them. If I add it to my lightning arrow, it will cause the arcs that come out of lightning arrow to strike even more targets, rippling along my line of lightning rods for huge amounts of damage.
Ma sta cosa mi piace. E PoE2 è la parte meno interessante dell'annuncio, partendo da quel presupposto, però mi piace.
Now I think we can use support gems to improve Stormcaller arrow as well. Let's start simple. I'm going to chuck less duration on here. This will
Shock
cause the lightning from the
proliferation.
sky to strike a
Ooh.
bit faster. Next up we have a support called Shock Proliferation.
A parte che c'era Elemental Proliferation che
This
faceva la
makes it
stessa
so that
roba.
any enemies shocked by the skill will also have the shock jump to nearby enemies, meaning they'll take the extra damage as well. It's just a chance to proc, so
Ci sono lo scroll of wisdom, quindi la roba droppa unidentified.
Ultra quick.
Ok, questa era una... non so se è meglio o peggio, ma l'idea che gli oggetti droppassero già identificati in Last Epoch da un lato non mi dispiaceva.
Cooldown skills in PoE 2. It enhances whatever your next attack is to fire 3 times. With what we have here, I think it might be a good idea to use it with Lightning Arrow. It'll generate 3 times as many lightning explosions. You could also use it at just the right moment with Snipe, or any number of other skills depending on what effect you need more of right now. It's very
Bello
versatile.
sto
You can use it in a
effetto
range
di
of
shatter,
situations.
cazzo. L'ha
Even
shatterato
as
di
mobile as the
brutto.
Ranger is, it's still very useful to slow monsters down, and a Ranger certainly has quite a few tools to do this. If you're prepared to get up close and personal, we have a skill called Electrocuting Rod. First, jump over the enemy and shoot it into them.
Non è
Once the
bloccato.
rod's in place, any lightning damage they take will build up a special electrocute gauge. Once the gauge is full, the monster is totally suppressed, allowing you to kill them easily.
Ok. Qui ci sono vari modi per bloccare i nemici sul
The enemy
posto.
dies before you get a chance to electrocute them. I think there's another support gem I could add to my lightning arrow to fix this problem. Neural overload will make it easier to electrocute enemies.
Ah,
The
ok.
skill it's attached to puts them over 50% of their electrocute bar. It will trigger instantly.
Quindi ci sono un sacco di CC e un sacco di combo. Beh, carina come cosa. Cioè, non lo so, io... a me, mi piace un sacco in PO1 avere un bottone da schiacciare e tutto, però il fatto di
Now, this
avere
works
tutte
really
queste
well for
combo
suppressing a single large enemy, but I'd like to improve my crowd control ability for groups as
interessante.
well. I'm going to add a support gem called Frozen Nexus to my Frost Escape. This makes an area of
A
chilled
parte che ci
ground
tengo a
around
precisare
frozen
che,
enemies.
cioè,
I'll also add
chi è
big
che non
freeze
lascia
tools,
vuoto il
which
primo
won't freeze the
socket?
last of them.
Porca vacca. Se devi metterli, li metti da
Now, when I use
sinistra
my
a
Frost Escape
destra.
on that front enemy, others nearby are slowed down.
Come fai a lasciare un socket vuoto,
Would
un
also make
socket
it a better
vuoto?
way to slow enemies down when they're farther away from me as well. So this would be a great time to start getting into the ranger's poison and plant-based skill set. To start
Questo è
with, let's have a look at
Toxic
Vine Arrow.
Rain, tipo.
This skill fires an arrow into the air that creates a small plant where it lands. The plant sends out tendrils to nearby enemies, slowing them down and poisoning them. But it does have another function too. If the plant gets further poisoned, it transfers that poison to the monsters it's attached to. Normally you would only be able to get one stack of poison on a monster at a time, but you can put as much poison as you want on this plant.
Ok.
You could just use the plant to slow monsters down and not worry about the poison part.
È interessante come Toxic Rain
This is the
questo,
way to do it. Now, if you do want to focus on poisons more, another useful skill is Poison Bloom Arrow. This skill creates these plant pustules on the ground. If you wait a little while, they'll explode.
È carino, non mi piace per niente questa UI. Cioè, secondo me è veramente vecchia come UI, Più bella quella dell'1 quasi, senza quasi.
I can also add the Pierce support to Poison Burst Arrow.
Però
Doing
magari
this will
sono
get
io.
multiple poison bursts as it goes through each monster.
Oh, come meglio.
We also have another skill to make a nice
Ah, ti
environment
tira
for your
fuori
plants
tutti i
to grow.
socket insieme. Bella sta cosa.
This skill shoots the ground and creates a cloud of gas that continuously poisons things inside it. Throw your plants down, then put a gas cloud on top. The constant poisoning will make them grow.
Interessante questo metodo di...
Another poison-related skill we have on the Ranger is called Plague Bearer. This is a reservation skill, meaning it uses spirit.
Ok.
When I enable it, I get this counter
Cos'è
that
spirit?
counts up whenever I apply poison to a monster. You can see the counter on the skill increasing as each new monster is poisoned.
Bello che ha una percentuale e non il
Make sure
numero.
to poison them as much as I can to build up the counter.
Porterà al 100...
It does take quite a while to get the counter up to 100%, but it's worth it. Whenever I choose, I can unleash the poison in a big explosion around my character, dealing a
All'istante.
large amount of damage.
Ah, non fa più come il Black Bearer, che te lo porti dietro. Questo esplode
Next
proprio
up, we have a
all'istante.
classic, Rain of Arrows. It's simple. Shoot a bunch of arrows in the sky, and they rain down for a short time. It's decent AoE and damage at long range.
Bello perché i mostri quando diventano poisonati la barra gli diventa verde. Ci sono un sacco di UI improvement su sta roba che mi
Frenzy
piace un
charges are
botto.
used for a variety of skills on the Ranger, but with Rain of Arrows they can be used to extend the duration.
You're mine.
How do we get some though? Here we have a skill called Sniper's Mark. Put it on an enemy and it will grant you a frenzy charge when you crit them. Now remember that snipe skill from earlier? That skill guarantees a critical hit. So first we Sniper's Marked an enemy, then we sniped them. And after that, the next Rain of Arrows will last a really, really long time. We still have some weaknesses though. While Rain of Arrows hits enemies with a ton of arrows, each one doesn't do much damage individually. It would be nice if we had a way to break the armor on enemies so that Rain of Arrows dealt more damage. Thankfully, we have this Corrode Armor support gem, and we can put it on our Gas Cloud arrow. Corrode armor causes poison to erode the armor on targets until it's all gone. This will significantly increase the damage the Rainbows does against armored targets.
IF.
Oh,
Quindi
yeah,
si muove con
one more thing
VSD.
about gas clouds. They can be detonated with explosions. I have an explosive arrow here. Let's check it out.
Still.
La madonna. Bellissima la grafica comunque.
Now, because monsters and gas clouds are likely to have their armor broken, I think there's another useful combo we can do. This is an exploit weakness support. This support provides extra bonus damage to targets that have their armor broken. Perfect for what we have going on here.
Bella sta cosa con i support che vanno a combarsi tra di loro. Ok, personaggio avvelenato barra della vita verde.
Now that we've seen all these skills, let's see how well they
Chissà se ci sarà l'overlay sopra la testa e se anche quella avrà la... diventerà verde. Perché era già verde in teoria. No, l'artistico lo fa. Come ha fatto a prenderlo? Non l'ha preso infatti. Ah, così si è bloccato. E questa barra qua sotto, che non ho capito cos'è. Prima era quella dello shock, non dello shock, del qualcosa tipo shock. Adesso è quella dell'armor dello stun. Probabilmente qualsiasi cosa che stanna shock o roba del genere c'ha la stessa roba. I boss sono sempre stupendi, cioè belli boss di più e 1, belli boss di più e 2, niente da dire. Sono veramente belli. Dai che c'hai il Black Bear, sparagli su sta botta, fammi vedere quanto gli toglie, L'ha fatta. Gliel'ha fatta un po', gliel'ha fatta. Potrebbero velocizzarli. No, beh dai, sono belli i fight dei boss. Anche se io non sono uno che ama guardare i fight dei boss, mi piace tentarli. Però vabbè, qua siamo ancora agli atti di sicuro. No, questa roba qua la odiavo, la odio con Innocence. E me l'hanno rimesso anche in questo boss qua, ma si può. Ciao Mili. Ciao Mili, è stato bello. Exalted Armor, wait. C'è sempre le fiasche piene con questo tipo, secondo me sta cheatando tantissimo. Perché le uso sono sempre piene, ci sta, nel senso di far vedere una dimostrazione.
That's the Ranger. But oh yeah, there was one more thing. The mount.
Ciao Zen.
Check this out.
Mount. Combatte anche?
Yes, you can ride a rower. While riding the rower, you can shoot arrows with no movement penalty. It's pretty overpowered. You can also use your vaulting skills to jump right off the rower's back. Once the rower doesn't have a rider, it starts attacking monsters, so he's nice to have around, even if you're not riding him. That said, if you are riding, don't get hit. If you take a heavy stun while on a rower, you'll fall off, and it takes a while to get up, so be careful.
Ok.
So that's what we wanted to show you today.
Chissà se è solo un'abilità del Ranger, dell'Ascendancy, o se tutti hanno la Mount.
We previously said that we would get the beta out on June 7th.
Sembra quasi una roba da Ascendancy.
We would be able to get the game's content ready in time. We underestimated how long it would take to get gameplay polished to a standard that we're happy with. We're still going to be doing alpha testing in June, but we're going to be delaying the beta until later in the year. I don't have an exact date for you today, but it should be towards the end of the year. In the meantime, you can still play Path of Exile 1.
Ok, la beta arriverà a fine anno.
We also have the 324 expansion to announce.
Sì.
Hand over to Mark.
È PoE2, ma adesso comincia PoE1, la parte bella. PoE2 inizierà a fine anno, non a giugno. Madonna! Questo è l'1.
Cold flesh. Our job is to keep them where they belong. It's your first night, so you'll need this. A ghostly lantern for ghastly tinkering.
Physical damage da extra fire.
You'll learn to peer into the souls of the dead. You'll learn how to twist them.
È tipo un'arena. Non ho capito niente. Questa è la necropolis.
You can pilfer shiny things from a corpse, but you can pilfer glorious things from a soul. I need a grave digger.
Aspetta, non ho capito niente. Non ho capito niente, ma sembra una figata. Oh! Sì, cazzo! Gli altri skill tree, più di uno, 3 ne hai, sì. New penultimate boss. Ma questi qua sono quelli dell'Expedition. Mortars Figure Gem, bello come me lo aspettavo. Questa Lissia è diventata più forte. Uber Lissia? C'è Uber Lissia? Aspetta.
What do you say?
In the Necropolis League, you will encounter Undertaker Aramor, a man collecting the scattered spirits of the Eternal Empire for a mysterious purpose. These spirits have begun to haunt the monsters of Rayclast, unleashing their ancient fury and sorrow onto the world.
Ok, quindi è nelle mappe.
The Undertaker will provide you with the Lantern of Aramor, a powerful family heirloom which can illuminate the wrathful spirits haunting monsters throughout Rayclast. With it, the Undertaker hopes to employ you to rid Rayclast of this menace, and further his cryptic cause.
Madonna che figa sta armatura.
The lantern can be used when entering any new area. When peering through it, you can examine the spirits haunting that area. The lantern also allows you to manipulate them, letting you configure which monsters are affected by which mods. It would be wise to take your time with your decisions here, for the spirits are not forgiving.
Bella
When
sta
peering through the
roba.
lantern, you can also see extra details about the packs of monsters in the area. Rowers here are considered common, whereas the water elementals are more scarce. If you want things to be easier, you can put the more difficult spirits on the elementals, which you'll encounter less often. We've tried to make sure that by engaging with the lantern, you are able to intelligently control the difficulty in the Necropolis League. The spirits come in a number of forms which represent the danger they pose. For example here, the infested vultures are servant haunted, causing them to deal a small amount of increased damage. But the Vol's Vanguard are noble haunted, causing them to deal a large amount of increased damage.
Adesso siamo obbligati a farlo.
Rayclast, the tear
No,
and number
si
of
potrà
spirits that are
evitare.
haunting monsters will generally increase.
Ovvio,
Your
sì.
game knowledge can help you here. If you're aware
Ah,
of the
sì,
composition
puoi
of a monster
cliccare,
pack,
puoi non
this means
cliccare.
certain mods will be easier to manage. For example, the mod that increases a pack's damage for every monster killed has no effect on packs with a single monster, like a Devourer. However, if we found a spirit that makes the strongest monster in a pack deal 100% more damage, well, I'm going to avoid the Devourer. You might have noticed that the Lantern of Aramor provides other useful information, such as the types of abilities monsters use, or the damage types they deal. So for those who are less familiar with how these monsters work, this can be a great way to learn what you're up
Stupendo.
against.
Bellissima sta cosa che ti mettono.
Spirits are constantly moving throughout Rayclast.
Usano la
So if you're
meccanica di
finding the
lega.
campaign area too difficult, you can just wait a few minutes and peer through the lantern again to see what's changed.
Ah, ok.
Of course, powerful spirits beget powerful rewards. There are two reasons why you might want to face a challenge.
Bellissima questa cosa che usano la meccanica di lega per spiegare come funzionano i mostri. Cioè, così tu puoi prendertela con calma all'inizio, leggere cosa fanno i mostri e impararlo attraverso la meccanica di lega. Questa è una cosa stupenda.
Challenge now and then. Firstly, not all the spirits are malicious. Sometimes the monsters aren't haunted at all, but are instead devoted. These can grant basic rewards like increased experience, or bigger rewards like spawning the Nameless Seer, an NPC that will grant you a single unique item after you defeat all of the packs affected by that spirit.
Quindi vale sempre la pena cliccarlo, ok.
Previous area before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted monsters will appear in the next area.
Cos'è che ha detto?
The more haunted monsters you defeat in the previous area before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted
quindi ti
monsters will
forza
appear in the
ad
next area.
usarla per avere le cose fighe.
Monsters haunted by higher tier spirits will increase the chance of the devoted appearing even more, meaning that sometimes it's worth putting the hardest modifier possible on very common monsters.
La meccanica qua vogliono farla diventare core, assolutamente, cioè stanno provando
Hard here to
tutto.
allow players to customize the danger and rewards as much as they can. Aramor is an undertaker, and you can probably guess what we're taking to him. The second main reward from the Necropolis League is monsters with unresolved anguish. Once slain, their corpses need extra care from the Undertaker, and he will offer to take them back to his
Che
necropolis
figata!
and store them in the morgue.
Con la carriola!
Time to earn your keep. When you are ready, you can visit the morgue to view the monsters you have collected, and then get to work burying them in one of many graves in Aramor's cemetery. For example, we will bury this Katava's Herald. Aramor's mysterious soul experiments can coalesce powerful items. Here I've chosen to create a pair of boots.
Minchia, fa anche da crafting sta roba. Fa il wildwood e fa anche il crafting.
These boots are useful for my character, but aren't exactly what I hoped for. And this is where the Necropolis crafting system really shines. You'll have noticed that the corpse we collected earlier had a crafting effect on it. In fact, all collected corpses do. If you bury multiple corpses in the cemetery, all adjacent corpses can be exercised at once to create one item. All of the crafting effects on those corpses will apply to that same item. This allows you to have either one or many different crafting projects ongoing in the cemetery.
Puoi averne fino a
For
9.
example, next time I try to create boots, I could bury corpses that increase the chance of getting move speed modifiers. To go further, I could use these to generate higher tier modifiers. Then, I could try
Quanti
to
ne
bias it
vuoi?
towards being an evasion pair with this. Finally, I'll apply some crafting effects that improve the probability
Minchia,
of
ma
getting
può fare...
rolls. Now, let's craft our item and see what we get.
Tutte le puoi far diventare un oggetto unico.
As you can see now, we have a much better pair of boots, forged from the souls of our enemies. You could even use the entire cemetery to craft one item. There is always something you can do to try and ensure your item is as best as it can be. We hope to see some really crazy grave crafts. If you are lucky,
La
you might find
Madonna.
corpses with meta crafting modifiers.
Pure.
These can be buried to manipulate your crafting projects in more drastic ways. This one increases the potency of all crafting effects of adjacent undead corpses. Another meta crafting modifier gives a chance to drop an extra item from your craft, with all the same crafting outcomes applied. All you have to do is bury a lot of undead monsters.
Madonna. Ne fa due? Fa due. Diversi, ok, non è una
Also
copia.
craft new unique items exclusive to the Necropolis League using this system. As you explore Rayclast, you might find the corpses of famous
Che
Eternal
figa
Empire
c'ha?
families. And when you bury an entire family together and exorcise them, they will thank you with a unique specific to their lineage.
Veramente? Madonna. Madonna, ma è bellissima sta roba, ragazzi.
For example, the Nivalius Inheritance Belt. I'll give you a moment to check that out.
La
You
Madonna.
can use other corpses alongside them to grant implicit mods, manipulate the values of explicit mods, and more. In this case, with the Parandus Pact, you can even
Bello
change the
questo.
modifiers it generates. This unique is a jewel which adds extra stats to passive skills in a radius when socketed into the passive skill tree. The stats it adds are randomly generated, but you can bias it towards a specific type by using other crafting effects, such as this one, which increases the chance of getting life modifiers.
Ok, quindi cioè
Let's see
se...
what we get.
Chissà se ha un limite quanti ne puoi tenere dentro un inventario di strano.
Damn, we didn't get it this time. I guess we're gonna have to go and collect more corpses. Of course, you can trade the corpses away to other players. All you need to do is purchase empty coffins from the Undertaker
Fare clic destro,
and use them on the
esattamente.
corpses in the morgue, which will itemize them.
Hanno preso la meccanica peggiore da itemizzare, le bestie, e sono riusciti a mettere una nuova meccanica, anziché togliere le bestie, questa cosa qua che è scomodissima, hanno messo nella meccanica nuova. Però va bene, va bene, va bene.
Embers of the All-Flame. These are monster spirits that remain living in the All-Flame, a powerful ancient artifact of Rayclast, and you can set them free by placing them in the Lantern of Aramor and defeating them. These embers drop throughout Rayclast as itemized packs of monsters. You are able to use these packs to replace the packs in areas. For example, we have found this All-Flame Ember of Tarfoa.
Carui Tattoo.
We can now go to enter the next
Hanno
area
rimesso i
and
tatuaggi.
replace one of the monster packs in here.
Madonna, hanno rimesso i
We've
tatuaggi.
also gotten one of the devoted modifiers to appear. We can pair up the Karui ancestors with this modifier.
Devo ricordarmela
Making it
18
even more
volte sta roba.
rewarding. Let's go ahead and replace the tentacle miscreations. However, when replacing packs, you want to double check their density, as the new pack will inherit the density of the replaced pack.
Ok.
The Karui ancestors we have now added to our area can even drop basic variations of tattoos. If you aren't aware, this is an item type from the Trial of the Ancestors League, which can be used on passive skills to change what they do.
Che figata, belli i tatu ti permettevano di fare delle cose pazzesche.
You can find Breach and Legion monsters that drop splinters, untainted packs that provide insane amounts of experience, and even simple frogs, which can be used to replace...
Bello, questo per livellare i secondi personaggi è una figata
And of
pazzesca
course,
comunque.
these Ember monsters can be raised as specters too. Finally, let's discuss how this league
Cos'è
works in
quest'arma?
in-game maps. Each in-game map will allow you to manipulate it using the lantern
Arma
on the
strana.
map device UI. However, instead of randomly cycling every few minutes, it is fixed to that map. Once you view the map through the lantern, you cannot remove it from the map device, so you can't trade that map away now that you've seen it is too difficult for you, or has monsters in it that you'd rather avoid, like porcupines. We're also trying something new this time around. During the Necropolis League, there will be support for the League on the Atlas passive tree. Multiple clusters will be there, allowing you to enhance the gameplay, customize it.
Ok, quindi
even
puoi
change its
ignorare la
behavior in
meccanica di
meaningful
Lega o
ways.
puoi
One way
puntarci
that you can
tanto.
change the crafting in a meaningful way is with the Prospero's Wager Keystone.
Madonna.
With this keystone, all the monsters with unresolved anguish come with this crafting modifier, which causes them to generate a random craft when buried. This means instead of pre-planning your crafts, you have to adapt to them on the fly to get the best results. These clusters will not be available in Standard League.
Ok.
In 3.24, we've made a plethora
Onesto.
of changes to the endgame. We're introducing new bosses,
Te lo dice
adding another tier
subito.
of maps,
Standard.
and streamlining the Atlas. The most difficult and most rewarding content in Path of Exile can be found in Uber Pinnacle bosses, such as the Maven and the Searing Exarch. Currently, the only way to access these bosses is by allocating specific keystones on the Atlas passive tree. While this system offers a nice element of control, it causes a problem. Rewards
Dai,
and
dai che
access
mettono un
to the
frammento per gli
variants
Uber.
are now
Dai.
economically priced around the rewards of the Uber fights.
Dai, che era
This means
ora.
it is wasteful to run the
Dovevi farlo una
non-Uber
settimana
instead of
dopo che avevano
simply
creato
selling
gli Uber sta roba, ma oggi è il secondo giorno
Another problem that
migliore.
we noticed is the difficulty jump between the Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle content was relatively large, and there wasn't obvious content that could bridge this gap. Many players would give up on their characters before being able to defeat the Uber Pinnacle bosses.
Fanno una
In
via diversa.
3.24, we will be making some changes to this. We are removing the keystones that give access to
Sì.
the Uber Pinnacle bosses from the Atlas tree, and instead we'll be adding a new set of fragments that give you access to this
Bravi.
content.
Bravi,
These
cazzo.
fragments?
Dai
We're
boss
adding a
normali.
new tier of maps, tier 17 maps,
Oh.
which not only give you access to the Uber Pinnacle content, but
Oh.
also test your characters in new ways. They feature a new set of bosses, Uber monsters, and a new tier of modifiers that can roll on the maps.
Oh!
5 new tier 17 maps in total, with some surprising boss fights at the end. We'll look at a couple today, and the rest you'll have to discover for yourself. First, we have the Citadel map. This map contains an ancient Kalgura citadel. You will encounter many expedition monsters as the signature packs throughout the map. At the end, you will fight Uber Uhtred. This is a version of a boss from Expedition League, with all its abilities and mechanics enhanced.
È velocissimo.
You'll even be able to summon 2 other expedition bosses to aid it during the fight. Secondly, we have the Fortress map. This map is an impregnable fortress, guarded by monsters from the Heist League. At the end, you will encounter an Uber version of the Unbreakable.
The Unbreakable.
Again, it has enhanced abilities and mechanics you'll have to learn and overcome. Each of the tier 17 map bosses has a chance to drop a unique item, allowing for some target farming. However, these aren't entirely new unique items. Instead, we've taken other unique items, removing them from the core drop pool, and rebalancing them to fit. One example is this reworked version of the Ward. It has 4 Abyss sockets. It allows you to summon an additional Spectre for each Ghastly Eye Jewel socketed into it.
Minchia.
Another example is Mana Storm. This has been rebalanced to grant a lot more damage than before, alongside some more impactful mana stats, if you can get lucky rolls. Alongside adding tier 17 maps, we have also changed the Uber Pinnacle bosses to have completely distinct unique item drop pools from their non-Uber counterparts.
Bella sta cosa, bellissima.
There is a reason to farm both versions.
Mi strapiace.
Let's take a look at the Shaper.
Quindi gli Uber droppano qualcosa, quelli normali droppano qualcos'altro.
Drop these uniques. Voidwalker, Shaper's Touch, Solstice Vigil, and Dying Sun. Whereas the Uber Shaper will drop these: Echoes of Creation, Sublime Vision, Entropic Devastation, Starforge, and a new unique belt called the Tides of Time. Another example of a new unique is this helmet from the Uber
questa, bella.
Ravenous Passion, and these gloves from the Uber Searing Exarch, the Celestial Brace. Each of the Uber Pinnacle bosses has a new unique added to their drop pools. We've identified another major problem with the endgame we'd like to address. With every expansion added to the game, we have been increasing the complexity of running maps. It's at the point now where a player must repeatedly execute a large sequence of steps to run maps efficiently. It can be easy to forget critical steps, and it can be tiring to repeat them. To solve this, we are removing some systems, but are keeping what is good about them. The 2 main systems we've removed are Sextants and the Master Mission Selector. It is not our intention to delve into content, however. We have completely reworked Scarabs to include most of the options that were previously covered by those mechanics, and many, many more. Let's take a look at some of them. Commonly, you might find Scarabs that access to different content. Here, we have a Scarab that causes Beyond Demons to spawn when bosses in your maps.
Hanno tolto i Sextant.
Here, we have one that adds a Delirium Mirror.
A me piace che hanno tolto i Sextant.
Multiple versions. So if you want to fully invest in
sono 5 versioni adesso. C'è il Super Wing.
Ultimatum Scarabs. This Ultimatum Scarab adds an ultimatum encounter to a map. This Ultimatum Scarab of Bribing then causes that Ultimatum encounter to grant better rewards and its monsters to
Perché gli hanno dato sti nomi strani?
This Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling will cause that Ultimatum encounter to always guarantee the Trial Master boss fight,
Perché gli hanno dato sti nomi?
assuming you can survive through all the rounds. This Ultimatum Scarab of Catalyzing will cause all rewards from that ultimatum to be
perché in effetti hanno un effetto diverso, però non li imparerò mai.
This Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription will cause all catalyst rewards from that ultimatum to be inscribed ultimatums instead. There are plenty of others. If you enjoy divination card farming, you might want to use these. This Divination Scarab of Curation causes more divination cards to drop for each different favored map you have selected. but it also causes whatever map you're running to only drop divination cards from those favored
Che
maps.
figata!
So if you want to try and aim for your mage blood and don't want to just farm Crimson Temple, then this scarab is for you.
Ma che
This
figata!
divination scarab of completion causes your divination cards to have a 20% chance to drop as a full stack instead, for maximum dopamine.
E quindi bisogna farlo comunque in
There are
Crimson
now just a
Temple.
lot of scarabs. You might
Minchia!
have also noticed that they no longer have tiers. Scarabs are now all world drops. You can get them anywhere. Some might be rarer than others, but the intention is that there'll be a lot more options than before, and more interesting combinations to
Oh no,
consider.
la
If you
Madonna!
want to target specific scarabs, Betrayal has been updated to include most of them, and you will need to relearn which ones come from where.
Certo.
While this system is allowing you to heavily invest in one type of content, it is reducing your capacity for variety. To address this, we have massively increased access to content on the Atlas passive tree.
Bella sta
You're
cosa.
able to reliably get different leagues like Breach or Legion from just your Atlas
Minchia,
passive.
posso fare le strategie per i Nabbi? Sì,
Regarding master
bello.
missions, content such as Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Bestiary, these too are now accessible with Scarabs, and have more reliable investment options on the tree.
Bello,
Not
bello,
only
bello.
this, you can now get Jun, Einhar, Alva, and Nico to appear together in the same map.
Piace un botto sta
We have
roba.
also removed some keystones such as Wandering Path, Grand Design, and Growing Hordes.
Ah.
But I've added some new ones too.
Io come
For
faccio senza
example,
Wandering Path?
Unwavering Vision,
Quando-
Back to Basics, and Thorough Exploration.
Oh,
And we have added
Affliction
some new
Wisp?
nobles such as Remarkable Relics.
Affliction Wisp? Ho detto, cioè questi qua sono pazzeschi, devo riguardarmeli bene, ma stanno rimettendo dentro tutte le meccaniche vecchie nel core game in delle maniere fighissime. No, questo è un punto... No, beh, non è un punto obbligato, ma... Cazzo, questo non mi piace.
Which allows you to try find better variants of scarabs. Mounting modifiers, which increases the values of modifiers on your maps by 2% for each explicit modifier.
Oi,
And tainted carapaces, which is just one in a set of many that allow you to target farm specific types of scarabs.
bello per...
These are just a few of the
solo
many
self-found.
notables that can be
Trade
found
frega
on the Atlas
poco.
passive skill tree. Lastly, we are giving you more flexibility in what content you want to run in the endgame.
Ok.
324, you can now have multiple copies of the Atlas tree. Which can be
Bellissima,
double
questa è la
tree
cosa
maps in
più
your
bella del
You can
mondo.
unlock up to 2 extra trees for a total of 3 by progressing through the endgame and completing core content.
Ti adoro. Mua, 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 ti adoro.
You can select which tree you would like to use.
Madonna.
For a given league, you'll never feel constrained to play in your endgame.
Sapete già qual è il mio fisso, il terzo,
Also, label your
eh?
trees to easily identify which one has which
Il
content.
mio terzo fisso è senza le bestie. Fisso!
New endgame strategies
Lo metto al giorno 2. Appena lo prendo,
While
non lo
playing
tolgo
through
più.
the campaign in 324, you'll notice a myriad of small improvements and surprises.
Madonna.
The fundamentals of the campaign are still intact, but we've scattered fun encounters and secrets throughout.
Bella, sta cosa mi piace. Non la farò.
Dweller of the Deep has been trapped.
No, l'hanno fatto più forte. No, l'hanno fatto più
What is doing in
forte.
the northern forest? And why are they giving me omens? This device looks safe. I should
le omens.
definitely use this on my items. There are plenty more encounters to discover. We'll continue adding more surprises in future releases, so keep an eye out.
Mi piace un botto che metto le meccaniche nella campagna. Non le farò perché fanno perdere tempo, ma mi piace un botto sta cosa.
These are alternate versions of existing skill gems that function in very different ways,
Vediamo
allowing
cosa
for more
ci
build
buttano
and
lì.
gameplay variety. At the time, our aspirations were higher than we could achieve. We planned more gems than we could make. So,
ci sta.
324,
Dai,
we're
va
adding
bene.
another set of transfigured gems that
Ve la
make it
perdoniamo, ne avete messo un sacco di fighe.
Incinerate, Artillery Ballista, Tornado, Elemental Hit,
Ecco cos'era quello
Kinetic
tornado.
Blast, Poisonous Concoction, and lastly, Summon Holy Relic.
Summon Holy Relic mi casa un botto. Tornado l'ho vista giocare prima, mi sembrava
Variant will get that here.
una
We
figata
will certainly be
pazzesca.
adding more of these in the future, especially for skills that are missing them still.
Ah, va benissimo,
Of course,
cioè...
we'll also be doing a balance pass on the existing transfigured gems. One of the main ones we're looking at is Kinetic Bolt of Fragmentation. As a result of this change, it is clear that
Ok,
the
nerfa
potential of the
Kinetic
Wanda
Bolt.
archetype really starts to
Poi
suffer,
parleranno di Penance
mostly
Brand.
in the single target damage department. Due to the
Secondo me, ti dico la mia opinione, essere un nuovo giocatore questa lega sarà molto più bello che essere un nuovo giocatore la lega scorsa. Sembra che abbiano fatto delle cose veramente fighissime, che comunque uno durante la campagna si prova le meccaniche di lega. Vuol dire che non arrivi alle mappe che te le trovi lì, non hai no, te le provi con calma, te le scialli. È bellissima sta cosa. Hai bisogno di farti gli oggetti, c'hai un sacco di meccaniche in giro. No, io sono gasatissimo, non hai più i sextant. No, cioè, pazzesco. Questi sono le quality of life che mi piacciono.
we've added the new support gem, Sacred Wisps. This support gem causes supported skills to create 2 attached wisps for a duration. With these wisps, whenever you attack, they have a chance to also use the same skill if you have enemies in your presence. And if there are any rare or unique enemies, they will always use the skill.
Quindi gli archi sono diventati ancora più forti. Cioè, adesso ti fa Tornado Shot, ha praticamente 2 skitterbots che gli sparano Tornado Shot ancora. Cioè, ma porco Giuda.
There's a shitload of them. Many of these have been revealed in teasers already, but here's a quick summary. We've added the automation and call to arms skill gems.
Ok.
Being able to trigger instant skills and war cries without having to bind them to left click. You can now hold down control and left click to automatically
avevamo
apply
visti,
certain currency orbs until they achieve the desired result, or you run out. For example, you can hold down fusings until you reach
Questi sono
maximum
tutti negli
limits.
shorts che ho fatto in questi giorni. Però sono cose carine. Alcuni sono anche dei nerf. Questi che fanno vedere adesso no. Ma alcune sono belle. Alcune meno belle. Dipende. Tipo questa è una figata. Io ci morirò lo stesso. Questo è stupendo. Questo è bellissimo. Io odiavo craftare con Harvest proprio perché bisognava continuare a muovere il mouse. Questo è strano. Non ho idea di come andrà a finire. Non sono abbastanza bravo per sapere, per farvi delle previsioni su questo. Questo è bello, comodo e basta. Questo è bellissimo. E si può disattivare se si vuole. Questo è bello.
Regarding betrayal, we're removing Ashling's crafting bench as a reward.
Questo, vedremo.
Orbs now perform that function. They remove a mod and replace it with a veiled mod. These orbs now drop from Katarina and are no longer a world drop. Flasks can now be corrupted by Val orbs,
Questo è
giving
carino.
-10 to +10 quality. The capability to add extra quality to weapons, armors, and flasks has been removed from Betrayal. The Betrayal bench craft that converts an amulet to a talisman has been moved to Bestiary, and thus can be traded. Maven invitations no longer drop. Instead, when you have completed witnessing
Questo è
all bosses
bello.
required
Quello
to
di
go to the
Betrayal
Maven's arena,
di
you can just talk to Kara
Bestiary,
and
speravo che
you'll
dicessero che hanno rimosso un po' di talismani
invitation
sfigati, invece non l'hanno
ready to
detto.
be rolled.
Magari l'hanno fatto.
Valdo's maps that granted invitations now give scarabs.
Ecco, questa cosa del Valdo è brutta, perché cioè uno ha pagato 480 euro per creare una Valdo map. Gli ha detto io voglio che droppo un'invitation e gliel'hanno cambiata così a Muz. Quello è un
Had to waste
peccato.
Guardian kills to try get invitations to drop. Next up, we're going to be talking about
Vediamo
our
com'è
new
questo.
supporter packs.
Gli ultimi due non mi sono
Today,
piaciuti.
we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Solar and Eldritch packs.
Sonar
Each
forse,
tier
Eldritch non mi
contains the full
ispira.
pack's face value and points, alongside several exclusive
Meccanica della Lega per craftare sembra una
These packs
figata
are only available
pazzesca.
for the duration of the
Col nuovo
Necropolis
Rogue.
League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions are of microtransactions. These packs are only available for the direct progression in any way. The Solar series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The
Che hideout è
cosmos
questo con la tartaruga?
with stars. Hitting enemies causes cosmic energy to spill out into the area around them. The Radiant Orb of Chance extra effect projects the outcome of items you've used an Orb of Chance on above your head. Remember to congratulate other exiles in town if you see them chance a powerful unique item. Shine boldly with the Solar Knight armor set.
No, non mi piace.
The power of the sun radiates from your body,
Non è il
getting
mio
more
stile.
and more intense as you use skills and emitting solar flares as you run. With the supernova level up extra effect, the dead will be raised from the ground around you.
La madonna che
Being
tamarrata questa.
obliterated and turned to ash by an epic supernova whenever
Questo è
you
figo,
level up.
questo è veramente figo.
This
Veterano
one is my
esplodono
personal
90.
favorite.
Guarda che bella
Cosmic
hideout.
Hideout lets you travel the infinite expanse of the cosmos atop the back of a colossal turtle. Carry the weight of the sun on your back with the Solar Guardian back attachment. Witness it grow larger and larger as the energy of slain enemies is funneled into it. When it reaches its maximum size, it goes supernova and turns into a black hole, forever drifting throughout Rayclast. The
Inutile.
Eldritch Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions. Are you wondering if we moved the
Vedo che non mi
stash in the latest
piaceva.
patch? Don't be fooled, because with the Mimic Stash Pet, players can transform into an image of a stash when in a town or hideout and scare unsuspecting exiles. This pet follows behind you with its terrifying hand-walking the
Vabbè.
rest of the time. The Shaper's Slam finisher effect sends slain unique
Questo è
enemies into a
fighissimo.
Abyss of unending darkness.
The Eldritch Hunger armor set contains a beast that demands you defeat it by embracing your bloodlust. Watch it grow in power the more you kill until it bursts from the shell of the
Infatti lo usa con l'Acerage, ci avevo pensato anch'io, con l'Acerage sarebbe fighissimo.
The seed within the Corrupted Growth map device expands its grasp on your hideout, the more maps you complete on your atlas. Equipping the Headhunter character effect causes skulls of slain rare enemies to whirl around you like trophies.
Questo è molto bello,
They become enraged when you are near
perché
a
uno
rare
riesce a capire
enemy
quanti
you get
buff
to
ha
kill,
senza dover
wishing for
guardare.
them to join your collection. Witness a reality where the struggle didn't exist, allowing the Eldritch Horrors to settle their own conflicts with the Eldritch Horror Apparition effect. Which of the Eater of Worlds or Searing Exarch do you think will win? These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during Path of
È
Exile.
bellissimo l'hideout.
Meanwhile, the Shade and Disciple packs leave the store forever at the launch of Necropolis League, so now's your last chance to purchase them.
Li ho guardati, non mi
Thank
sono
you so
piaciuti proprio.
much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
Madonna,
Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Necropolis' full patch notes.
quante
With
emozioni.
release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for Necropolis' release. Keep an eye on the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and this season's Kerax Vault Pass. Thank
Anche
you for
il Kira
joining
Vault
us
Pack
today and
mi
checking out our
incuriosisce.
latest developments. We're looking forward to doing some awesome gravecrafts and conquering the new endgame bosses with you next week. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Ok.